This season, the first in a very long time, we're actually able to use Stasis. Now, I actually still enjoy using Stasis on a regular basis, whether that be on my Hunter, my Titan, or my Warlock, and today we're going to be looking at Stasis Titans in particular. I feel as though Stasis Titans have more exotics that play into their subclass as a whole, and not just one particular thing, like for example, Warlocks and Osmomancy Gloves. Sure, that plays into Cold Snap Grenades, but we know what everybody uses it for, and that is simply to just throw more stasis turrets. But today we're going to be looking at a Stasis Titan build that is easily one of my favorites and has been for a very long time, even back when it was just a bit of a meme. So before we get started, like, comment, and subscribe, and let's have a quick word from our sponsor. Today, like I mentioned, we're going to be looking at a Titan exotic that is easily one of my favorites, and that is going to be the Exotic Chest Armor Hoarfrost-Z, which comes with the trait Glacial Fortification. When using a stasis subclass, your barricade becomes a wall of stasis crystals that slows nearby targets when created. Standing behind this barricade will grant you and your allies increased weapon reload speed, stability, and range. I remember back when this exotic first came out, everybody made the meme of we're just making forts, it's Fortnite and Destiny and all that good stuff. And to be fair, it kind of was when people were just throwing down glacier grenades and popping this barricade and just making a wall of stasis crystals, so it very much so felt like that. But here we are now, like 2 years later or whenever this exotic came out, and this exotic is actually really good. When we place our barricade down, it's going to give us a wall of stasis crystals, 4 large ones on the edges and 1 small crystal in the middle, and these are going to last for about 14 seconds, and this is going to allow us to shoot from behind our wall of stasis crystals. When we pair this with those glacier grenades I had mentioned before, we can get a bunch of damage when we shatter all these crystals that we're going to make. Also, when we're behind this wall of stasis crystals and standing behind that small little crystal, we're going to get all the bonuses of our rally barricade with the increase to our stability, our reload speed, and our range. However, even though it does take the functionality of a rally barricade, it is going to give us the default cooldown of our towering barricade, meaning we're gonna have to find ways to reduce this cooldown, which is going to be really easy when we look at our armor mods. Before that, we're going to take a look at weapons. Because we want to take advantage of shattering stasis crystals to deal as much damage as we possibly can, we're going to want weapons that have headstone or can place their own set of stasis crystals. With this in mind, I'm going to take the Exotic Stasis Grenade Launcher Salvation's Grip, which comes with the exotic trait Cryo Cannon. Hold to charge, release to fire. This weapon's charged projectiles create a pattern of stasis crystals on impact and freeze nearby targets. Back when this exotic first came out in Beyond Light, all it did was make a simple wall of crystals that people really only used to help them platform up to some harder jumps or even to help them get out of bounds. But since then, they have reworked it and given it some really nice buffs. Now it can fire like a normal grenade launcher when you just press your fire button. When you hold it down, it is going to send out a wave of stasis crystal. This wave starts with 1 small crystal, moves to 2 medium crystals, and then ends with 3 of those very large crystals, meaning we're going to be able to shatter these with ease when we look at our subclass setup. It also has the trait Shatter Shot. This weapon's uncharged projectiles deals bonus damage to stasis crystals and frozen targets. Rapidly destroying multiple stasis crystals reloads this weapons from reserves. We aren't going to use the uncharged projectile to destroy crystals very often or not at all, but the big thing here is rapidly destroying those stasis crystals is going to reload our weapon. So because of all the stasis crystals we're going to make between this weapon, between our barricade, and between our glacier grenade, we are almost never going to have to reload this weapon when we have ammo for it. Moving on to our class setup, we're going to start with our first aspect, Cryoclasm. After sprinting for a short while, enables a longer, more powerful slide. Sliding into stasis crystals or frozen targets shatters them and any nearby frozen targets. This is going to make it extremely easy to shatter all the stasis crystals and all the frozen enemies we're going to have from our many different sources. And overall, these stasis crystals are going to deal some very good damage to whatever is around us and unfortunate enough to be frozen by us. Also, because we're going to be shattering so many stasis crystals, our second aspect is going to be Tectonic Harvest. Shattering a stasis crystal creates a stasis shard. This shard grants melee energy when picked up by you or your allies. Like I say, we're going to be making a ton of stasis crystals from grenade, class ability, and salvation's grip, and if we decide to use a weapon with headstone. So we're going to be generating a monstrous amount of stasis shards to feed our melees, our mods, and the first fragment we're going to look at, which is going to be Whisper of Rhyme. Collecting a stasis shard grants a small amount of overshield, which falls off after 10 seconds. Collecting additional stasis shards adds to the overshield and refreshes the timer. With this fragment, while we have full health, we will get a 5 HP overshield per stasis shard we pick up, to a maximum of a 50 HP overshield. While we don't have full health, however, it will instead just give us 5 health, which will be very nice, adding to the survivability of this build, as we're also going to include Whisper of Chains. While you are near frozen targets or a friendly stasis crystal, you take reduced damage from targets with a +10 to our recovery. While in range of a friendly stasis crystal or a frozen target, we're going to have a 40% damage reduction. When we're in combat, we're basically going to have this the whole time from all the stasis crystals we make and all the potential frozen enemies we're going to have around us, giving us a ton of damage resistance on top of whatever resistance we're getting from our resilience stat. To help keep the glacier grenades available to us for this easy 40% resistance, we're also going to take Whisper of Shards. Shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional stasis crystals increases the duration of this benefit. When we shatter any stasis crystal, we're going to get a 500% increase to our grenade cooldown, making it so we can throw even more glacier grenades to then feed back into making stasis shards to give us health or an overshield, or to give us that 40% damage resistance more consistently. The final fragment we're going to be taking is Whisper of Fissures. Increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. This is going to increase our shatter damage by roughly 12%. It may not be much, however, with the amount of crystals we're going to throw and shatter, it's going to add up very quickly, and it's going to make it so we can easily take out those weaker targets in those high-end activities and allow us to do some significant damage to champions in those high-end activities. For our armor mods, starting with our helmet, we have Harmonic Siphon, so all our stasis weapons will make us Orbs of Power. Dynamo, as we're going to be dropping our barricade quite often so we can get our super back faster, and Heavy Ammo Finder, since we're using a heavy weapon as the main point of this build. Arms, we have Firepower, as the shatter damage from our glacier grenades will count as a grenade defeat, making an Orb of Power. Bolstering Detonation to give us more class ability energy, and you can run Firepower if you want. I did not, because I feel like the extra slinging ability for some of these grenades throw me off a little bit, but again, you want to run Firepower, you absolutely can. On our chest, we have Charged Up to hold more stacks of armor charge and resist or reserve mods depending on what you want. Legs, we have Elemental Charge, so all the stasis shards we make will add up to armor charge stacks. We also have a Better Already to help with health regeneration, and then any other orb pickup mod you want. I took Insulation for even more class ability energy. Finally, on our mark, we have Powerful Attraction to pull orbs to us. We also have Utility Kickstart, so we can consume our stacks of armor charge and get some energy back to our barricade. And finally, I took Bomber just to help feed our grenade. For the artifact, there are really only 2 mods we need to take. The first being Pillar of Ice, where defeating an encased combatant spawns a stasis crystal. This will add even more stasis crystals into the mix, feeding back into everything we have going on. And the second mod we need to take is Hail the Storm. Shattering encased targets and stasis crystals deal increased damage. Shattering stasis crystal releases shards of ice that damage and slow targets. This is going to further our shatter damage, and we can spread around some slow at the same time, meaning if there are overloads involved, we can also stun them with this potentially. For stats, definitely focus resilience, as we need that for the cooldown on our barricade, and then having high discipline for the glacier grenade is also a very good idea. Overall, I think this build is phenomenal. I think this is the most fun I've had with a build in a very long time. You literally just throw down a glacier grenade, slide into it, it shatters, everything shatters, you collect the stasis shards, you get overshield or health depending on what you need, and then you place your barricade down, do the same thing, get the resistance. It plays out very nice. I use it in the Grandmaster footage you're seeing behind us, and it actually surprised me quite well. I didn't think it was going to perform as decent as it did in that high-end content, as it is a Stasis build, and Stasis is still needing a lot of buffs. However, I highly recommend you check this out. So, of course, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to keep seeing more. Helps me out, helps the channel out, and of course, I will see you guys in the next video.